and the Chicago Bears from Soldier Field. An absolutely gorgeous September Sunday afternoon by the shores of Lake Michigan. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Verne Lundquist along with John Madden. The Vikings and the Bears meeting in a season opener for the first time since 1961. And John, from Minnesota, hopes of redemption from a very disappointing season a year ago.
Yeah, and I think they're thinking to do it a lot differently offensively this year, Verne. We're going to see a no huddle or a quick huddle, a bunch huddle, as Jerry Burns calls it. They're going to a one-back offense. That one back will be Herschel Walker. But they're going to use three wide receivers, spread it out most of the time. And I think with this new offense, the pressure of it is going on this guy, Wade Wilson. I think if the Minnesota Vikings are going to be successful offensively this year, this guy has to have a big year for him, injury-free. Minnesota
Vikings were 6-10 in 1990. In contrast, the Chicago Bears won the Central Division with a 10-6 mark. 11-5, and they really won't change much, I don't think.
Well, it's Mike Ditka right there. I mean, you know, he's what Mike Ditka is, and he says, hey, if you want the ball thrown, if you want Air Coryell, you move out of this city. You're not going to get it here. He said, here, we play control defense, and we run the ball. When you talk about running the ball, the guy that has to do it is this guy right here, one of the best in the game, Neil Anderson. And he has a little more pressure on him today, Verne, because they're playing without Brad Muster, their starting fullback.
It had been sultry most of the week. A cold front moved through here yesterday morning. It is delightful. 68 degrees. Winds out of the east at 12 miles per hour. The Vikings won the toss. They will receive. Darren Nelson is the deep man. Kevin Butler will kick off. And he said yesterday at practice, honest, guys, I'm kicking off better than I have been. It's been a problem for him.
Well, you know, he's lost some weight, and what he said is the more weight that he's lost, the more distance he's gotten on his kickoff.
The opening day continues from Chicago. That's a good one. And it's taken at the 10-yard line. Out to the 20. Randy Baldwin with the return. And a gain of 14. Wade Wilson will open at quarterback in his 11th season out of East Texas State. Missed most of the season with a broken thumb and a shoulder problem last year. And the new no-huddle or one-back offense featuring Herschel Walker, three wide receivers, Chris Carter and Anthony Carter both come wide left. The handoff to Walker, tests the middle, gets two. Offensive line for the Minnesota Vikings. Gary Zimmerman, Randall McDaniel, Loudermilk, Kalis, Irwin, and Jordan. Herschel Walker, Alfred Anderson, Anthony Carter, and Chris Carter in the backfield. Second down and 8. Wilson, 5-step drop, right side, caught. First down, Minnesota. Hassan Jones makes the catch. Armstrong, McMichael, Perry, and Dent, the defensive line for Chicago. John Roper, Singletary, and Ron Rivera. Roper, a new starter in 1990. And in the backfield, Donnell Wolford, Lemuel Stinson, Mark Carrier, and Marcus Paul replaces Sean Gale. Gale on injured reserve with a stress fracture. He is in civvies on the sideline. First and 10, Minnesota from the 35 after a gain of 13 yards. And make it officially to 36. Play fake, Wilson back. Across the middle, deep for Jordan. Has the ball and a first down at the Chicago 41.
Yeah, that's one of the things that makes this offense so difficult is that, you know, you think about Herschel Walker in the backfield. Okay, you got to stop him. Then you think about the three wide receivers, and you think you have to kind of take them away, especially Anthony Carter. But they still have Steve Jordan, who they just hit on that big one, the tight end.
That's a gain of 23. And now the audible by Wade Wilson. They call their semi-huddle a bunch huddle. And they've got the back-to-back first downs. Here's Walker, cuts to his left, bangs up the middle of the 30, and that's a gain of 11, another Viking first down. They look sharp opening the game.
I kind of like this huddle deal. If you look at it here, they're only 2 yards away from the ball. Now, what they do is, you see, here's the ball. Here's the bunch. You see, they go up there. All they've called is the formation and the snap count. They don't know the play yet. Now, Wade Wilson is going to make an audible out here. See him audibilize to the left, then to the right, or to the right, then to the left. Now they got the play. Now they move out. Now they're going to snap it.
On 1st and 10, Vikings from the Chicago 30. Blitz coming from Singletary. Wilson a little too far right to Chris Carter, the intended receiver. Marcus Paul defending. Is this comparable to the Cincinnati no-huddle offense?
Yeah, I think it's close to Cincinnati. In fact, Jerry Burns even says that it's really not all ours. He said, we didn't start this. He said, really, Cincinnati, the Bengals and Sam White started, and he said, we're just kind of copying them. But it sure does speed up the tempo of the game.
2nd down and 10 from the 30, and again, Wilson calling the play after they are set at the line. Draw play. Walker comes left. Big hole. Split the middle. And it's another Minnesota 1st down at the 15. Marcus Paul with the tackle after a gain of 15.
I tell you, they are really working that middle in there, you know, and that's the strength of that defense with Perry and McMichael and Singletary in there. They are really getting those guys blocked. Look, they knocked the refrigerator out one way, McMichael out the other way. Boom, they knocked Singletary down. And when you do all three of those things, there's going to be a big hole in the middle.
Marcus Paul injured, and if David Tate comes in, he is not a healthy player.
Watch the middle of the line here. You see they start like pass protection, and I'll tell you, the good block was Randall McDaniel, the left guard on the fridge. He took the fridge and pancaked him.
And Kirk Loudermilk had a good block on Mike Singletary. Walker now with 3 carries for 29 yards. Herschel picked up 190 yards in preseason, and we were told that he had an excellent preseason with the Vikings in his 3rd year with them.
Well, I think he likes this kind of formation where he's running from a tailback. It's more like the I formation. If Herschel could, he'd want to run every play in his life from the I formation.
1st and 10, no score, opening drive of the ball game. Wilson looking left for Walker, incomplete. And Walker with Ron Rivera doing the defending job for the Chicago Bears. It'll be 2nd down.
That's why Ron Rivera's in there. Ron Rivera, you know, doesn't do a lot of blitzing, but he's one of the real good pass covering linebackers in the league, and he's a guy that the Bears can feel comfortable putting man-to-man coverage on Herschel Walker and feel that Rivera can cover him, and he's a guy that can cover Herschel Walker.
3 wide receivers set. Carter and Anthony Carter. Chris Carter and Anthony Carter are wide to the left. Opening drive of the ball game. No score thus far. 3-step drop. Fade pattern in the end zone. And it's intended for Hassan Jones, incomplete. That's a pattern that Chris Carter loves. And that'll bring up a 3rd and 10.
Well, they couldn't have worked with Hassan Jones. You know, he's had that knee injury, Verne. He didn't play a play in the preseason. He practiced last week, didn't play in the final preseason game. So, you know, one thing that, you know, he is a veteran. Wade Wilson's a veteran, but they haven't worked a lot together this year.
There's Mark Trestman, the quarterback coach. He and Tom Moore given a lot of credit for this new offensive scheme by Jerry Burns. It'll be 3rd and 10. Walker leans it to get the play. No score. Now Chris Carter in motion. 4-man rush. Pocket hands, and it's 1st and goal, Minnesota. Diving catch made by the tight end, Steve Jordan, the gain of 13.
You know, one thing I like about what they're doing offensively, Verne, here, is that it's really thrown the Bears' defense out of sync. You know, they can't get into time, and there's Vince Tobin trying to get the signals in, and it's not a hurry-up offense, but it's a quicker-paced offense, and it looks like through Wade Wilson calling the plays that the Bear defense really hasn't gotten set.
1st and goal, Minnesota. 2-back set now, double tight end. Walker on the sweep. Singletary from behind, and Paul helps haul him down. Michael Singletary, who is still brilliant against the run. That's a loss of 1.
And anytime you give him a hole, Singletary's going to fill it. And if you talk about the things that Herschel Walker doesn't do well, it's run across the backfield on a sweep. Anytime you can keep him going that way, parallel, then he is not going to make any yardage. He has to go into the line straight ahead.
2nd and goal from the 3. Craig Wolfley and Brent Novoselsky join the offense in this goal line situation now. This is Novoselsky in motion. Walker with Anderson leading the way. Knocked down by Trace Armstrong with the initial contact. No gain.
This is what football is. You can play in the middle of the field for everything, but when you get down here in the goal line, this is where you play. It's the old thing, you play in the middle of the field for show and you play down here for dough, and this is what the Bear defense does well. I mean, that ball draws a lot of hungry Bears.
There's a hungry Bear. 3rd and goal from the 3.
He ought to be in there. He ought to be out on the field.
Called by Wade Wilson.
See, that's the difference between the no huddle or hurry up. On that, you can get your substitutions in, and that's what the Bears did. You see, because it's 3rd and 4, that is a long yardage situation, so that's a passing down. So the Bears put their nickel defense in down there in the goal line. I think Wade Wilson was expecting, or a play was called for a goal line defense.
Thus far in the drive, 77 yards, 11 plays, and 5 minutes and 42 seconds on the drive. There's McMichael and Morrissey.
And Morrissey's in there because he's a pass defender, pass coverage guy. They take the Fridge out. Fridge is more of a run guy. Get their pass rushers in there. You talk about pass rushers. There's a pass rusher right there, number 95. And if a guy's going to come up with a big defensive play on this Bear team, it's going to be a turnaround game. It'll be Richard Dent.
He's matched up against Gary Zimmerman, number 65. That's going to be fun to watch all day. 3rd and goal, no score, opening drive of the ball game. Delay of game. Wow. After a timeout. And now 3rd and goal from the 9.
You see, here's what they're looking at right here, and I don't know why he had to do. He had man-to-man out here, man-to-man out here. The guy here, this is what he was looking for, and Hassan Jones makes a point there. He points to his guy, and they call timeout. I'm not sure why.
Ball is officially on the 8, 3rd down. Fade pattern, left side, Chris Carter. No flag. Lemuel Stinson defending.
Yeah, I'll tell you, that was still a heck of a drive by Minnesota, and then the closer they got to the goal line, the Bear defense took over.
Need a huddle. Fuad Reves, who won the place-kicking job from Donald Puike, is on to try the field goal. Harry Newsom will hold. Jerry Burns saying yesterday, Newsom is one of the best holders he's ever been around. And the center is Mike Morris, just signed for that task. So after a very lengthy drive and time-consuming, the Vikings break the scoreboard first, the 26-yard field goal, Fuad Reves.
You know, where they had success running was right up the middle. In fact, they went up the middle 3 times for 29 yards. They didn't run any to the left that time, and they ran twice to the right for -1. So that's the type of thing that the Viking coaches are going to be thinking about. And I think unless they get that middle of the defense straightened up, they're going to see Herschel Walker running up the middle all day long.
72-yard drive, 13 plays from Minnesota, took 5 minutes and 50 seconds, and Reves puts them on top. You see other scores on opening day. And of course, the big news from the Philadelphia Green Bay game that Randall Cunningham torn knee ligaments and may be out for the season. Here's Reves, who will kick off. when it came down to the point they had to make a decision between Reveas and Igwe-Bike, Verne said that the difference was in kickoffs, and that is why they kept Claude Reveas.
You know, that happens so often that, you know, you think about the field goal kickers, and you always think about how many they made and how many they missed, and so many of them are either kept or cut depending on how they do in the kickoff, because that can be such a big thing with a field position. If you can kick it in the end zone and they start on the 20 every time, there's not a lot of teams in this league that are going to drive 80 yards on you.
Reveas will kick off now for the Minnesota Vikings. They lead at 3-zip. Well, that's not going to go into the record book or the highlight film. Bobbled by Johnny Bailey. He picks it up and counter punches out to the 22-yard line. Welcome those of you who've been watching the Philadelphia Eagles and the Green Bay Packers, where the Eagles won at 20-3. Here in Chicago, our score, the Minnesota Vikings 3 and the Chicago Bears nothing. A 13-play Minnesota drive to open the ball game, a 26-yard field goal from Fouad Reveas, and now the Bears with their first offensive play of 1991. Jim Harbaugh opens at quarterback. Cap Bozo goes to the left side. And now comes back in motion. 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers, and Neil Anderson, who cuts left out to the 24. Offensively, a rookie starts at left tackle, Stan Thomas, joined by the veterans Bortz, Hilgenberg, Thayer, Van Horn. They've been together since '85. The tight end is Thornton, Anderson, Rouse, the running backs. The wide receivers, Anthony Morgan and Wendell Davis. 2nd down and 7. 8:25 to go opening quarter. Anderson on the sweep. And he's out to the 30-yard line. Defensively for the Minnesota Vikings, Al Noga, Ken Clark, Keith Millard is on injured reserve for 4 weeks at least, so Henry Thomas takes his spot. And Chris Dolman against Stan Thomas today. That'll be a matchup we'll watch. Ray Berry takes Scott Studwell's place at middle linebacker. Studwell retires after 14 years. And in the secondary, it's Lee and Rutland on the corners. Felix Wright, a Plan B acquisition from Cleveland, joins Joey Browner, the strong safety. 3rd down and 2, Chicago. And they'll run from the eye. Jay Hilgenberg over the ball. Toss to Anderson, Rouse in front. 1st down plus at the 38-yard line. A gain of 8, the tackle made by Felix Wright, number 22.
You know, one thing, you have Stan Thomas. Now, watch him here. Stan Thomas is right here. Now, watch what he does on Dolman. If he's going to drive into him, now watch him, take him, turn him, drive him, get him to the outside. If you got a pass rusher, run at him. If you got a rookie blocking him, let him run block. Let him get some confidence. I'll guarantee you Stan Thomas got confidence on that play.
That was a pretty good block.
That was a heck of a block, and that's the way you do it. You put the tight end on the pass rusher side, and you run right at him and make him anchor in there.
And again, you see Thornton go over, and he's going to be lined up near Stan Thomas. Now backs away and comes in motion. Harbaugh looks deep, settles medium range, and it's caught by Wendell Davis. That's a gain of 8 or 9. Make it 9. Tackle made by Mike Merriweather.
Yeah, everyone thought that that's going to be where they have to worry. And it probably is Stan Thomas, because he's drawn Chris Dolman, one of the best pass rushers in the league. He gets a little help from the guard here, but he knows that Dolman wants to take that inside. He told us yesterday, he said, one thing I have to do, I have to take away the inside.
Well, he's got Dolman today, and look what's remaining for him on the schedule.
Well, that's why that position is so important. You got to block guys like Dolman and Taylor and Smith and Tim Harris, and you got a guy every week coming from that side.
2nd down and 1. Handoff goes to Rouse, the second-year fullback from Arkansas. He picks up 4, and that's a 1st down as Chris Dolman makes the tackle. William Perry. Philadelphia beats Green Bay, but they lose Randall Cunningham. Cowboys open with a win on the road. Kansas City nips Atlanta, and New Orleans in a struggle with Seattle finally prevail in that game. And the Jets win at home. Phoenix, without Tim Rosenbach quarterback, has an early lead over LA. 1st and 10 Chicago. They have crossed midfield. Now Thornton goes over to Stan Thomas's side and continues in motion, followed by Browner. Whoa, boy, Al Noga got right through and got there about the time the handoff was given to Anderson.
Yeah, there is a guy that's going to be a heck of a player. You know, last night we were talking to Joey Browner about him, and he says Al Noga, if he gets to the position where he can play the whole game, every game, and the whole season, he's going to be a dominant player in this league. I've always had that same feeling, you know, that I've been watching this guy Al Noga. Always kind of wanted him on the all-Madden team, you know, and then something always kind of seems to happen to him, but I like the way this guy plays.
Well, he's got a brother, Nico Noga, of course, who was in the league for a long time. 2nd down and 14 after the loss of 4. 3-0. Minnesota leads it. 4:19 to go, first quarter. Cap Bozo in motion. Harbaugh back across the middle for Wendell Davis. And the catch is made at the 45, the tackle at the 44 after a gain of 9.
Wendell Davis is just going to come what they call underneath. You see, he gets inside and then underneath, right behind those linebackers in front. Just keep coming. Now you can get open deep or you can get open wide. And by getting open wide, that's when you run those crossing patterns.
3rd and 4. Chicago Bears dead last in the league last year in passing yardage. But they also didn't turn the ball over much. Jim Harbaugh with only 6 interceptions.
And they also led the league in that giveaway, takeaway thing, that turnover deal.
Right. Davis with 2 catches already. Goes left, followed by Carl Lee. They'll pass again. And the play is whistled dead. Here goes Dolman. Mark Bortz goes out to make sure that he doesn't catch up with Harbaugh.
Yeah, I think a defensive back was offsides. I think a defensive back put his hand on a fair receiver. It's usually some old nose tackle or defensive tackle or someone.
It's Reggie Rutland, I think.
Watch it out there. It's right there. Yeah, it's right on the outside.
Remember in our conversation with Jim Harbaugh yesterday, here's the call.
First down.
Harbaugh said, I really want to burn the Viking cornerbacks because I can't stand the way they play. Particularly, he said, Reggie Rutland.
And I think that's probably the type. You know, I mean, Rutland is one of those guys who's animated, which I think is good. That's fine. I mean, you know, you go out there, you talk, you do your thing, but sometimes you got to keep those hands on your side of the line of scrimmage. And that's one call you're not going to see an awful lot of in any league.
Rutland is matched up against the rookie, Anthony Morgan. Now Cap Bozo in motion. Toss to Anderson. Here comes a reverse. Anthony Morgan tries to cut inside and does, but Henry Thomas did slow him up, number 97. That's a gain of 3. And Al Noga
has a takedown there, and he had him pinned, and he wasn't going to get up. He was trying to get the 3 count. There's a reverse. You start Anderson. He's going to draw a crowd there. The defense really played that pretty well. You know, once the ball goes away, you have to keep someone always on that backside, ready or waiting for the reverse. 2nd
down and 7. 3-0. Vikings lead on a 26-yard field goal from Fouad Ribeis that opened the game. We have 2:15 to go, first quarter. Anderson, Van Horn pulling and leading the way, and Anderson just about skipped out of the tackle. Picks up 4.
I'll tell you, Stan Thomas is doing a good job on Dolman, and this is what you have to do, and this is how the guy gets confidence. Just watch the left side here, and they're going to get a double team right here with that block. You see it right there. Now watch how they get Dolman. They just move him, and then that's going to create the hole. Now what that does to Dolman is that tightens him down on that tackle and makes him anchor in, you know, where he just can't get out there and pass rush all the time.
3rd and 3, Chicago from the Minnesota 31. Anthony Morgan starts in motion again. Play fake, Harbaugh into the flat, caught by Anderson. And Felix Wright knocks him out of bounds, but it's a first down. at the 25-yard line following the gain of 6.
Yeah, I don't mean to be too big a thing on Stan Thomas, but if he doesn't do his job, everyone's going to say, well, they're killing the rookie Thomas with Dolman. But if he does do his job, you have to give him a lot of credit. He's getting tired now. He's not used to playing at this pace. Like you say yesterday, I can't believe how big and strong these guys are on every play. He's not used to playing every down yet. But thus far, he's played these 10 plays very well.
And he did not have a particularly outstanding preseason. It was a matter of concern after Jim Covert went down with an injury. There are flags. Here comes Goldman. If the play stands, it's a first down on the catch, or short of a first down to Capozzo.
Now that should be a penalty. That should be a penalty. Dolman jumped offside. Now when he jumps offside, the whistle ought to blow.
I thought that was one of the new rules this year.
That is. You can't do that. Just because you jump offside, that should not give you a free shot at the quarterback. This is wrong. I don't care. I mean, they should have blown the whistle. Someone should have jumped in front of the quarterback. You can't let him jump offsides and do that.
There was supposed to be, I emphasize, a quick whistle on any swift or abrupt moves in order to avoid just that kind of circumstance.
That's the referee's fault. He should have blown his whistle and jumped in front of the quarterback.
Anderson, first down. Neil Anderson down to the 12. Well, this has been a quick-moving first quarter because of a 13-play Minnesota drive, and now the counterpunch by the Chicago Bears.
This is a vintage Bear drive, and they're doing a lot of it on that left side.
Black and blue division on a brilliant blue September afternoon. That's the end of the first quarter with our score Minnesota 3 and the Chicago Bears nothing, but along with John Madden, Minnesota took the opening kickoff, 13 plays, a 26-yard field goal.
Yeah, if you look where they run, Verne, they ran 3 times to the left, and that's where they gained most of the yards. 18 of those yards on this drive so far have been in there behind the rookie Stan Thomas.
First down now, and they've given Thomas help with the tight end line to the left. Handoff goes to Anderson, and he squirts down to the 10-yard line. That's a gain of 2.
I'll tell you one thing, though. He has Dolman back there on his heels now. I mean, he has Dolman going backwards. It may not end up this way, but right now, Stan Thomas is winning that battle. And I know that Dolman had to think, I'm coming in here, I'm going to pass rush, I'll take an outside, I'll take an inside, I'll give him an outside, fake inside, boom, 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 and all this stuff, and they're just, boom, whack, running it right at him. He hasn't been able to do any of those things.
He's out of El Centro, California, and the University of Texas, the #1 draft choice, playing, by the way, with a bad right shoulder. Backs are split behind Harbaugh on second down. And they come to the left behind Thomas, and this time the defensive unit jams it up. Felix Wright, number 22.
But, when someone starts running on you, that's what you start doing. You start adding your safeties. They always have Joey Browner up. That time they got Felix Wright up, so they had 9 men up there to stop the run. When you get the free safety up, around, at the line of scrimmage, he will be the 9th guy.
Felix Wright signed as a Plan B acquisition from Cleveland. Unusual contract he had with the Browns. He held out last year for 45 days. Finally agreed to sign with them for 1 year if they agreed to make him available for the free agent draft at the end of the season. He did, they did, and he signed with the Vikings, where he has replaced Darrell Fullington at the free safety spot. Harbaugh back, has a man open. James Thornton at the goal line. That is not a touch.
That was a heck of a catch, though. You talk about hands. You always think about those big arms and guns and RoboCop and all this, but this was great hands. I mean, Harbaugh leads the thing out there. I watch him stretch out and catch with both hands right at the fingertips. He caught him with the fingertips of both hands. That is what hands are.
No touchdown, but it is first and goal from the 1. Well, the season is upon us. We're having our first review.
I think anything like that you have to do.
Room,
I know what they're
completed
going to.
pass. It is being reviewed by instant replay.
I know they're going to review if the ball hit the ground before his hands, but that was such a good picture of using hands and using your hands together, which really is the definition of good hands, both hands working together. I think he has that. The official down in the field gave it to him, and the only way that could be incomplete is if they say that the ball hit the ground before he had control of it. If we look, I think he has control right there before he ever gets to the ground. And I don't even know if it does hit the ground anyway that he doesn't have control.
Don't know that there's enough to overrule the call.
Let's just look at it on the clicker here. You'll see right there. Here he has a control now as he goes down, and I don't know that even when the ball hit that he doesn't have control.
Complete pass. It will be 4th and 7 from the 10-yard line.
Oh,
Whoa!
I don't know. I looked at we looked at it slow motion. I looked at it on the clicker and everything. That looked like a good catch to me.
That's a new definition of indisputable evidence, I guess.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that guy up there must have saw something on his little monitor that we didn't, or he saw it in a different way than we saw it.
Well, that guy up there is Tom Kelleher, and he has overruled the catch. That brings on Kevin Butler, 26 of 37 last season. He had 114 points. From 27 yards out to tie it up. That's a bad hold. Maury Buford had problems with the hold. Now, Tom Thayer is the new center this year. He's replaced Jerry Fontenot. I don't know if that snap was all that good either. Tom Thayer has replaced Jerry Fontenot at center, and Maury Buford is the holder here, John.
I think this is a little low, but I think Buford as a holder should be able to handle this. This was a mishandled snap, and he really didn't get it up in time for Butler to kick it.
So Kevin Butler 0 for 1. Here comes Maury Buford, who already, I'm sure, has said, hey, sorry. And so after the unsuccessful 27-yarder, the Vikings take over a 16-play Chicago drive that comes up empty-handed. Wilson back, looks for Anthony Carter, and Carter is loose. Watch out, he's chased by Rivera. And Rivera does finally catch up to him with help. And the help comes from Marcus Paul, but that's a gain of 32.
Anthony Carter is one of the most dangerous guys in football in RAC, running after the catch. And when he gets the ball out there, you better tackle him. Mark Carrier came up. He just put an arm out there trying to do that. You have to do more to that to Anthony Carter, because he feels he'll give you a little move, and he'll make another 30 yards like he did on that play.
First down and 10. After the 32-yard gain, Loudermilk the center. Four-man rush by the Vikings. And that ball caught at the 45-yard line. Just to go back to that overruled catch on the goal line, Tom Kelleher ruled that the ground helped make the catch. That the ground hit the ball hit the ground, and the ground helped make the catch on James Thornton's catch at the goal line.
Yeah, that was the thing. That, I guess he had both hands on it and the ground at the same time. But, these guys have big, old, strong hands on them, and they don't need the help of the ground. I mean, they still have control of it even when it does hit the ground.
2nd and 7, 3-0 Minnesota. Walker. Down to the 43, gain of 2.
Yeah, you talk about the Bears running to the left. Now the Vikings are going to run to the left with their pass rush. At 95 is Richard Dent, one of the best pass rushers in football. And, of course, you know who 72 is, and they're going to run right at those guys. And the Vikings offensive line won that one.
We were talking with Tim Irwin, the right tackle, last night about that left side. Gary Zimmerman and Randall McDaniel. He said, those are the athletes on the left side. Kalis and I over here, we're the dinosaurs. 3rd down, Wilson back. Right side, pretty good coverage. The catch is made and is not a first down as Steve Jordan is out of bounds. David Tate shoves him out at the 40-yard line.
That was a big play by Tate, because Jordan has to know, in fact, he's arguing here, because as a veteran, you have to know on third down that you want to get up beyond the first down marker. Now watch him here. First he should run his pattern beyond the first down marker. Now if you don't get beyond it, then you got to turn and get up beyond it. He ran his pattern a little short.
In the third game of the season here last year, Chicago won it 19-16, a 52-yard field goal by Kevin Butler. It was set up when this man, Harry Newsom, fumbled a punt snap with 30 seconds to go in the ball game. And this one is high. Good downfield coverage, but it goes in for a touchback. A 40-yard punt. Bears hold, they get the ball back, but they trail by 3. Some of us think it's quite young. 1st and 10, Chicago. James Thornton goes to his right. Harbaugh, short setup, drills the ball. And that's a first down at the 31-yard line. Catch made by Anthony Morgan, the 5th-round draft choice from the University of Tennessee. Ron Morris is on injured reserve at that spot. Here's Bozo coming in with the play, 12-yard gain. Well, Mike Ditka said, if we rush 50 times, we'll win the game. We went back and we all wrote it down and said, wait a minute, that's a lot of times to rush the ball.
So you had that great drive. It took over 11 minutes, and then come up with nothing has to be disappointing too. Anderson
caught by Ken Clark. Now here's a guy in his 14th season, Ken Clark, most with Philadelphia and Seattle. He's carved out quite a nice career for a guy who's not one of the better known players in the league.
Well, you know, everyone thought he was finished like 5 or 6 or 7 years ago, and then, you know, he was a backup guy here, and now with Keith Millard out, and of course Keith Millard, the dominant defensive tackle for the Minnesota Vikings. In fact, that's him right there in the sideline. They put him on injured reserve, so he has to miss 4 weeks. Ken Clark has become a pretty important guy here.
Dennis Gentry in motion to the left. They hand it off to Anderson. And a pretty good defensive job by Ray Berry, the middle linebacker, forces him into the tackle. And rumbles throughout the crowd.
Ray Berry has a big job taking Scott Studwell's place. In fact, there's Studwell right there. He's been the Minnesota Viking middle linebacker for so many years. Joey Browner was telling us, you know what we miss about Studwell? Studwell knew where they were going to go and what they were going to do before they did it. And then he said, and he'd tell all the rest of it. He said, we really miss that.
Tom Waddle comes in as an extra wide receiver. We've got the shotgun for the Chicago Bears. Good protection by the offensive line. Incomplete pass. Felix Wright with contact, but no flag down. Pass intended for Wendell Davis.
Well, it's the same thing the Vikings did on that last thing. If you're going to throw the ball on third down, you have to throw it to a guy who is up beyond the first down marker. I mean, had that ball been complete, they still would have had a punt. Now, that never has made any sense to me.
Leo Lewis, the ageless one, is back to return the punt at the 25. Lewis again this year placed on waivers in the final cut down and then re-signed. Maury Buford will punt. And that's not a terrific punt. Lewis lets it go, and it takes a Chicago bounce out of bounds at the 33-yard line. 33-yard punt for Buford. 8 minutes and 19 seconds to go. First half, Minnesota up by 3. Half Soldier Field on opening day. And of course the festivities here in Chicago begin early.
I know, you know, it's opening day for everything. I mean, this guy, he got those big old sausages there. You probably burn a couple on opening day. You don't know.
Back to throw, Wade Wilson. Steve Jordan wide open, got by Roper. And it looked like Roper might have been expecting some help. But that's a gain of 22. Jordan, an early factor in this Minnesota offense.
Well, that's that seam pass, you know, that the New York Giants ran with Mark Bavaro so well, where against a zone, there's a seam. And it's between the corners and the middle safety, and you just run right down that seam and hit the guy between the defenders.
Jordan has caught 5 for 64 yards in the first half. Walker with Irwin leading the way.
There you go, baby.
And Herschel Walker to the 40-yard line after a gain of 4. Tim Irwin matched up with Trace Armstrong on that right side. This is a team that started out 1-6 last year and then seemed to find a little life in the middle of the season, John. They won 5 in a row and got to 6-6, but fell apart at the end of the season.
Well, you know, Joey Browner right there is number 47, one of the better defensive backs in the league. And he was saying last night, everyone says how good we were on paper, and he said that's a bunch of baloney now. He said we have to take that stuff on paper and do it on the field and forget what it is on paper.
Wilson back, flushed out of the pocket, pulls up short, and Jordan can't hang on. That would have been a first down. The incomplete pass.
And he still had to pay for it at the end because Refrigerator Perry falls on him. You talk about him being flushed out. He's being flushed out. Here comes Richard Dent from his backside, and he has to get, but watch who's going to fall on a pull right there. That is a double load for Wade Wilson to take on.
It was in the game here, game 3 last year, that Wilson tore a ligament in his right thumb, missed 7 games, came back, and then went out with a shoulder. So he didn't see much of 1990. On 3rd down, Wilson back, right side. Hassan Jones with a catch. No catch. Incomplete pass. It'll be 4th down. So for the second time in as many possessions, Jerry Burns' club inside the 50, but they have to give up the football.
It's funny how this game started. They both start off the first drive like Minnesota's first drive, like the Bears would never stop them. Then after that, they can't get it going again, and the Bears do the same thing, and they can't get it going again.
Harry Newsom, second punt of the ball game. John talking about that first drive. It was 13 plays for the Vikings, and then a 16-play drive, and Bailey lets that go over his head. And is that a legal downing? Yes. What an acrobatic play in the end zone.
Tom Thayer's down there saying that the guy was stepping on the line. But watch this, he's going to leave his feet here and then hit that ball back, and he hit it back while he was in the air. That was Audrey McMillan. Watch him here. He's in the air. Now the ball comes back. Now he's down. I don't know, did the ball hit the line? See, where does the ball come out? Because he's okay. See, he doesn't touch. Everything's okay there. Now, if the ball gets out without hitting the line, then that's the right mark.
There's McMillan with the touch.
See, I don't know that the ball, now if it hits the line, then it comes back to the 20. I don't know where that ball hit. It was a heck of a play by McMillan, though.
Well, from that angle, it looks like it's a terrific play.
Yeah, like he got it out.
Yes.
Like he got it out beyond the line.
Now you look from the end zone, and the perspective changes a little bit.
There's no question about him, though. I mean, he wasn't touching. He was airborne when he made contact with the ball.
Well, while they look, we'll bring you up to date on scores on opening day. Miami with a lead over Buffalo. That's a little bit of a surprise. Miami with all those starters just back.
Buffalo didn't look good in preseason.
No, they didn't.
We did in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
They really didn't look that good.
Denver over Cincinnati, and Pittsburgh and San Diego are notched. Randall Cunningham, 2 torn ligaments in his knee. Surgery tomorrow, maybe out for the year. Dallas with a big road win to open the season. They've got a tough September from now on. And New Orleans with Bobby Hebert, the opening day quarterback, defeats Seattle. Mike Ditka. Now we wait for the well,
I think they already made the decision and said that the play is legal, and it stands, and the Bears start on the 2-yard line.
2 wide receivers split out, 2 backs behind Jim Harbaugh. Anderson. No, it's Rouse. And James Rouse, the second-year man from Arkansas. Now Stan Thomas gets up a little fiery. Somebody.
He's a fired-up rookie. He He made a good block on Dolman here again. Watch him here, number 60. Watch him take 56 right there. Boom, you drive him, take him down. That's the block that creates a hole. I'll tell you, he is dominating that left side of the line of scrimmage so far. I mean, he really has to be proud of himself. This guy has pumped himself up in this game 85%.
Number 1 draft choice from El Centro, California, by way of the University of Texas. Only 1 year of high school football. They go the opposite direction this time, and Anderson gets a little brush block from Rouse, and that's enough to move the chain after a gain of 5, a first down. Al Noga makes the tackle, number 99.
Yeah, you look at Neil Anderson, and when he first came into the league, he weighed 220 pounds. Then he went down and he played around 215, then 200. This year he's his lowest ever. In fact, he said his lowest since he was a sophomore, and he said he's 200 pounds.
Did you find it surprising yesterday when he told us he did not run once in the offseason?
I think a lot of players do that, and few of them have the confidence to admit it. Everyone, oh, I've been running all offseason, been doing this. Anderson said he didn't run one step in the offseason.
Harbaugh back. First down, Thornton. That's a grab at the 20-yard line and a gain of 5. Ken Clark with the pressure.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Harbaugh had to stand in there because Clark was coming right up the middle. And if Harbaugh, watch him, 71 is going to come right up the middle. Dolman's coming from the outside. Now watch him right there. And he had to step in and throw that one and know that he was going to get launched. That's when a quarterback takes a hit like that, there ought to be an airbag involved. Well, you know, you have to step into it, throw, and you're going to get it.
That's a great idea. Let's get involved in the manufacture of airbags for quarterbacks. Sideline. There's the handout to the 22-yard line, a gain of 1.
I think some defensive linemen look like they carry the airbags. Some offensive linemen.
Yes. Some defensive linemen as well. Here's
some television analysts.
I will tiptoe quietly through the remainder of this conversation. Signals flying in. Stan Thomas, just to continue a bit on his story, did not play until his senior year. Told us yesterday the first time he put on pads, hip pads, as a high school senior, oh dear.
Yeah, he had his hip pads where the knee pads went, his knee pads where the hip pads went, and he said everyone was laughing at him and he didn't know what to do.
Motion from Noga on the opposite side, and no flag. No, there is a flag. Beg your pardon.
I think that play had a chance from the start. People were jumping all over before that one was snapped. There's a guy who looks like the footballer, Al Noga. American Samoan. Played his high school football in Hawaii.
He held out for much of the preseason.
We have 2 offensive men moving at the same time on offense. We've got offsides on the defense. We will replay the down.
That's a lot of stuff. Talking about Noga holding out, John, and apparently the Vikings have really loosened the purse strings. They've not been known as a spendthrift organization, but he finally came in. John Randall had won the spot, and Noga reclaimed it this week over Randall. And now 3rd down, and we'll try it all again. Out of the shotgun. Left side, right side. Pass is caught, first down. Tom Waddle, number 87. And that's a gain of 11.
You know, Tom Waddle was one of those guys that was cut earlier this week, and then the Bears cut him when they went to 47, then brought him back. And Ditka was saying yesterday that he's going to be our 3rd wide receiver and see a lot of action. This guy, you know, Waddle was saying every team needs a guy that's a possession receiver, a guy that can just get open all the time and catch the ball, and that's so true. I know that I made a living with a guy named Fred Bolitnikov.
Never wanted to time him at the 40, you said.
I never would. What the heck am I going to do if he doesn't run fast enough? Am I going to say he can't play? The guy's in the Hall of Fame.
Here's Harbaugh back. This is tight end Thornton to the 50-yard line. Joey Browner with the tackle, but a gain of 19.
That's the old bootlegger waggle. You see, you fake to the left, then the quarterback comes out to the right. You look for your tight end crossing. There's Thornton. He finds him, and boom, hits him with a big one.
We have reached the 2-minute warning. Vikings lead by 26-yard field goal from Fuad Reveas on the opening series of the ball game, up by 3. Ron Cox, number 54. Donnell Wolford, number 21, the Bears sideline. And Chicago's offense on the field with a first down at the Minnesota 48-yard line.
You know, one thing that Neil Anderson was saying, they don't have Brad Muster, he said, but someone else has to come up. He said the Vikings are just going to try and take me away. And Harbaugh's done. I mean, he's been 8 for 10. Look, he's 4 for 4 to his wide receivers, 1 for 3 to his running backs, 3 for 3 to his tight end. So he's 8 out of 10, and he's spreading it around pretty well.
This is Air Coryell Chicago stuff.
Yeah.
A couple of brats and Air Coryell. They come to the left, and the tackle made after a gain of 1. Anderson. Neil Anderson, widely regarded as one of the short list of complete backs in the National Football League, and we chatted with him yesterday about who else he thinks falls into that category. And he picked the young man in Buffalo.
Well, Thurman Thomas, and I think Marcus Allen was one of those guys, or maybe the first one, that running back that you don't have to take out when you're going to pass.
Time has been called by the Bears with 1:32 to go for the first half of the ball game. Chicago with 46 yards in the ground, 12 more than Minnesota. Vikings have a slight edge in passing. We've had much more passing than we thought we would. Neil Anderson with 31 yards. And here's an interesting fact. 18 minutes of possession so far for the Bears. Just under 10 minutes for the Minnesota Vikings. Verne Lundquist along with John Madden. First half on the first Sunday in September. 3-0 on Fuad Reveas' 26-yard field goal. And a young man who may or may not be in his final year with the Bears, Mike Singletary.
And a older man who may be or may not be in his last year's coach in the Minnesota Vikings, Jerry Burns, who again is the oldest coach in the NFL at 64 years old. And there's a point that you just say enough of that, and I'm going to go do something else.
Bud Grant did that up in Minnesota, and he's doing a lot of fishing now.
He's doing it very well.
2nd and 9. 3-0. That's Gentry in the backfield. 4-man rush by Minnesota. Harbaugh to Anderson, and Reggie Rutland makes the tackle after Audrey McMillan tried to go for the interception.
Well, you better watch out going for that interception on a Neil Anderson, because he's a guy, if you don't make that tackle, he can run it all the way into the end zone like 2-6.
3rd and 1. Harbaugh left side. Whoa, boy! Oh, Reggie Rutland knew he was going to have a chance to make the pop, and he did. Ouch.
Well, that's a zone, and Reggie Rutland was just standing out there. You just watch Rutland. He's just standing out there. He's not covering a man-to-man. He is sitting in that outside zone, waiting for Anderson to come to him.
They did get the first down and then called time.
That's why you play a zone in the last 2 minutes. Watch Reggie Rutland here. He's not playing man-to-man. He just has this zone. So when Neil Anderson comes out here, boom, he is ready to make the hit. You see the receiver, bumps the receiver, but he's not going to go with him. You see him just sit right here and wait, and then boom, he makes that hit and doesn't let Anderson get out of bounds.
1st and 10. Chicago trailing by 3. A minute to go. Harbaugh going deep. Man coverage deep. Caught. Touchdown, Chicago. Tom Waddle, the possession receiver. Of all of the backs you would not expect to find deep, 87 is on top of the list.
And here's the guy who was waived on Monday, didn't know if he was going to be brought back, was activated Wednesday, and catching the big touchdown on Sunday. But you can do that with a possession guy. They're the guy that they're going to sit. They're going to expect the out, the in, the hook, and boom, they sit there a little, and you have an opportunity to run right by them.
They are going to review it. That is only the 4th catch of Waddle's career. It is his first touchdown catch.
Well, Not yet. I think what they're reviewing is not the catch, but they're going to review is, was his knee down before the ball breaks the plane in the end zone? Okay. I think his elbow's down right there. You don't know where the ball is. I don't think it's probably, they're probably going to rule it's not a touchdown, but it's going to be the Bears' ball on about the 1-yard line. This has been an active half of instant replay and review.
Tom Kelleher is the replay official. We've had one overturned already, that one against the Bears.
Yeah, this one's not, this one could be overturned, yeah, but it's not going to be the catch. I mean, the catch
After further review, the play will stand as called.
Whoa! Well, we're 0 for 2.
I'll tell you, that was a great drive by the Bears, though. They started out on the 2-yard line and drove 98 yards.
In 10 plays, and Tom Waddle's 4th career catch, his first touchdown. Now the hold is down, and the kick is good. Tom Thayer with the center. Maury Buford with the hold. Kevin Butler with the kick. It's 7-3.
The Bear, you can't beat this stuff. What else you want?
Here's Wilson back. Settles short for Chris Carter. And he is out of bounds after a modest gain to the 31-yard line, a gain of 4. Well, the Chicago Bears have won their last 7 openers, all here at Soldier Field, hoping to go for their 8th straight, and they lead it 7-3. Interesting that this is the first time these two division rivals have opened a season since 1961.
Well, you know, and everyone that talks about these two teams either picks Chicago or Minnesota to win the division.
Carter again, Donnell Wolford and David Tate do a little wishbone. Gain of 4.
The Bear defense, and especially their secondary, have always been good tacklers.
Time has been called. 37 seconds remaining in the first half. It's a 7-3 ball game. Plays a 37-yard touchdown toss. Harbaugh to Tom Waddle, and they lead it 7-3. 3rd and 3, Minnesota. 4-man rush. Wilson lets it go. There comes the flag. Tom Dooley found his handkerchief first, and then he finally found the flag.
Oh, I wonder, he's going to call that on Roper, I think.
Really?
Or he's going to say it's a throwing the ball away. Watch number 55. He's going to make the play right there. Unless he has a face mask, I'm not sure.
Intentional grounding, number 11, loss of down, 4th down.
Oh, that's what he was calling. He was saying Roper made a good rush, Wilson made a bad pass. Because that's the rule. If you are throwing the ball to avoid a sack, then it's a penalty.
Tom's got to work on that move to his right hip pocket. Found his handkerchief first, pulled it out, looked at it, said, nah,
He knew he had one of those yellow things hanging around in there in one of those pockets.
Harry Newsome will punt on 4th down. Johnny Bailey to return it. Line drive punt. Over Bailey's head. That was not well played. But it's returned pretty well to the 33-yard line. Opening day of the 1991 National Football League season. How about this? Phoenix leading the Rams by 14. Miami over Buffalo by 7. New England leads Indianapolis by 3. These are games ongoing. The Raiders trailing Houston by 9 in the second quarter. Denver with a big, well, not a big lead, a 14-point lead over Cincinnati, and Pittsburgh on top. Randall Cunningham may be gone for the season. Torn knee ligaments. Happened in the first half of the Philadelphia win over Green Bay today. Jim McMahon, the former Bear, finished up and did well. Here's Anderson. And he's out near the 40-yard line. 12 seconds to go. This crowd got so excited by that 37-yard touchdown pass, they want to see more of it. They're booing. Get Waddle back in there.
Well, throw some deep ones. Throw some bombs. We want some bunting and bombs. Everyone just likes him. No one can not like a Jerry Burns.
Well, you don't hear many coaches referred to as a cute form of their last name, but he's Burnsy to everybody.
Old Burnsy.
Back it comes. Anderson coming left, chased by McMillan, and out of bounds. That's the end of the first half with our score. The Chicago Bears 7 and the Minnesota Vikings 3.
Surprise is the Bears passing for 128 yards. You know, you expected that Minnesota. You expect them to get that pass yardage. They were going to be wide open, and the Bears expected them to be more run, but not that much pass.
And the time of possession almost 2-1 Chicago over Minnesota.
And that's Bears football. You know, when you talk about Bears football, what is it? It's time of possession, it's running, it's, you know, strong defense, all those types of things. The other thing, the Bears have yet to have a penalty.
Pass distribution thus far, 5 to the wide receivers out of 5 attempted. And the running backs have caught 4, the tight ends have caught 4.
I think they've done a good job of spreading it around. I mean, Jim Harbaugh, of course, Greg Landry calling the plays, but Jim Harbaugh finding, you know, different guys open and not always trying to go to just one guy or one area or one position.
Fuad Reves will kick off for the Vikings. Anthony Morgan and Johnny Bailey are the deep men for Chicago. That's a terrific kickoff.
That's why he made the team right there. I mean, he kicked that out of the end zone and darn near up in the stands. They'd had to throw that ball back out. Are you talking about having some rocks in your pockets? You have to have some rocks in your pockets to kick one like that. What was that guy's name, that Davis guy that was driving all those long balls?
Oh, John Daly.
John Daly, yeah.
Sure.
Daly, yeah. That kick was like one of Daly's drives.
First and 10 at the 20-yard line. 7-3. Harbaugh has capped Bozo coming over to the left side. Anderson the only setback. Toss to Anderson, sweep to the right. And not a whole lot of room out there. Gain of 4. Now, where is the Bears distributed their running attack so far in the ball game?
Well, you know, they've really run 5 times to the left for 27 yards. They've made the most of their yardage out there. They've done a good job. I think Dolman has been quiet because they've run at him. 11 times they've run up the middle. They've only run 3 times to the right. So they're working the middle and that left to try and keep Dolman and the pass rush calmed down.
Chris Dolman, who had 11 sacks last year, down from 21, is 89. Here's the sweep with Tom Thayer leading the way, and he gets the block on Dolman, but Dolman had some help, a lot of help, as a matter of fact. Mike Merriweather was there.
There, Ken Clark comes flying around there. They're going to start off a double team here now. Now Dolman plays that pretty well. He holds the play there, gets blocked there, and watch, Clark comes from that outside. That was one of those high-low deals there. Woo!
Yeah, Merriweather got him at one end and Clark at the other, and it'll be 3rd down. The Bears, a year ago when they won this game, had only 2 situations in the game longer than 3rd and 5. They had 1 3rd and 7 and 1 3rd and 12. Ditka said that was one of the keys for today's ball game. There's a quick pass from Harbaugh. Wendell Davis with the catch. That's his 3rd of the ball game, and a gain of 13, 1st down.
And I'll tell you, the thing about this is Harbaugh is really getting confidence here. When we talked to him yesterday, he said that he hoped they just didn't go in and pass all the time because run all the time because he wanted to pass. He said, I think we can pass on these guys. And I think that the thing that they did is just not doing one thing, but they've had great offensive mixture.
He and Peter Tom Willis went through the entire preseason without having a pass intercepted. And he is 12 of 14 for 141 today, again with no interceptions. Bozo, number 86, with the movement. Play fake. Harbaugh, alternate receiver, drop. Thornton and Mark Dusbavic.
Well, he had 3 receivers over here on the left, and they were all bunched together. They were like a bunch of guys. They were all in a bunch, and none of them were open. I think the reason they weren't open is because they were all in a bunch. So then he had to go back to the right.
It was the Bears version of a bunch huddle.
Oh yeah, they all went to like one spot, like that's where they were being fed or something, or watered. And then all the defense went there where they were being fed or watered. Poor old Harbaugh had to throw it to the other side.
Stay away from the Oasis. 2nd and 10. Backs are split. Anthony Morgan in motion. Crossing pattern. Morgan. Nice catch. Ray Barry was right in his face, and so was Deuce Bobick. Here's a young man who caught only 13 passes last year, his senior season at Tennessee. He didn't get nearly the attention that Alvin Harper, the #1 draft choice of Dallas, did, but moved into Ron Morris's spot as a starting wide receiver.
Well, Ron Morris, of course, had arthroscopic surgery just a couple weeks ago, and Mike Ditka says that he likes Anthony Morgan. He said he's going to go with him whether he's ready or not. He just almost has to, and he's been a pleasant surprise in this camp.
Gentry and Morgan come left on 3rd and 3. That is Gentry in motion. Here comes Dolman. There goes Harbaugh. And Anderson is going to be caught and dropped. Todd Scott, a rookie from Southwest Louisiana, with the tackle. It'll be 4th down.
Yeah, that's why Mike Ditka wants to stay out of 3rd down situations, because they're not very good at it. And I think again, that's the 2nd time where they throw short of the 1st down anyway.
3rd quarter, Maury Buford on to punt. Bears drafted Chris Gardocki in the 3rd round as a combination kickoff man and punter, but he pulled a groin muscle against Buffalo last week. He is on injured reserve. He is on the 47-man roster. So Buford again the punter, though he thought this might be it one. That's a short punt. Leo Lewis returning for the Vikings, and pretty good down. Oh, there's a loose ball and a scramble at the 35. And they will unravel bodies and let us know who got it.
Yeah, I wonder if the wind is a factor there now. I'm not making an excuse for Buford, but that was a very short, ugly punt going that way. And remember, the kickoff going the other way was a big boomer.
Now you can see the wind wafting at the top. The time has been called. Wind is blowing briskly from left to right, which means it is at the back of Wade Wilson and the Vikings. Herschel Walker tests the center and picks up about 4, maybe 5 yards near the 39. That's a 4-yard gain. They have gone primarily, John, with that one-back set today.
Well, that's really what they are. If we look at the number of times that they've done it, they've had 1 running back on 18 plays, and 2 running backs, just 2 backs in the backfield, only 4 plays. So you can see that they said that this was going to be their offense, this one-back offense, and probably 90% of the time they're going to be in a form of it.
That score you just saw is the correct score. New Orleans did win 27-24 over the Seahawks. Wilson into the flat for Walker. Looks for blocking help from Chris Carter, but he is gang tackled and driven out of bounds after a gain of a couple. Rivera leading the way, and Mark Carrier also there.
And they got a little pressure on that time on Wade Wilson. He had to throw it a little before he wanted to. That's a big thing. You know, you don't always get sacks, but sometimes if you just kind of push and just nick at that quarterback and make him get out of sync or out of rhythm, that's almost as good as a sack.
3rd and 3. Bears with 3 down linemen, and Richard Dent is in an up position. And they're showing a blitz look. Here's Wilson, right side. Anthony Carter. Mark Carrier can get him, but he's the last man with a chance. And it's Carter out of bounds at the 17-yard line.
I think if I were with the Minnesota Vikings or a coach of Minnesota Vikings, I'd put a note to myself, throw the ball to Anthony Carter at least 10 or 15 times a game, because this guy, you don't have to throw it deep all the time. Look, he was trying to throw it out to the left. Why not throw it to this guy? It seems like every time you get the ball in his hands, something good happens for you, because he's hard to tackle, he's good at getting open, and he has good speed, and he can break tackles and do all those things.
That was a gain of 41. 1st down, Minnesota. And off to Walker. He's popped as to the 15, gain of a couple. You know, Anthony Carter caught 70 last year for over 1,000 again, and he did not sound terribly happy about this new offense.
No, because they're going to shorter routes this year, and you know, and he doesn't, you know, run those corners and deep passes the way he did before. You can see, look at this in today's game. After he's caught the ball, he's gained 73 yards. So that is a good rack, or a good RAC, or a good run after catch.
I like rack.
That's a good. I got a good rack.
Got a good rack. Sounds like a pool hole. Wilson tipped, almost picked off. That was hit at the line of scrimmage either by Armstrong or Perry.
Well, we'll see who it hit. Perry's going to come up the middle. Armstrong is coming up the middle on the left side. Perry on the right side. Armstrong's down. I'll tell you who it was. It was Richard Dent.
Yeah.
Who it was. Dent was on a stunt. Dent worked from the outside to the inside, and he was the guy who tipped it. Now he's giving signal. Dent does it all. Stand up, three-point stance, knock balls down.
3rd and 8, blitz. David Tate comes on the blitz. The pass is complete to the 9, but short of the first down. Steve Jordan with his 6th catch today.
You're not going to see that very often where you rush to safety. Now, the Bears did that in Tate, but you drop off your defensive end in Richard Dent. I don't know. I mean, that's a little change-up. You're not going to make a living at that where you tell 49, okay, you be the rusher, and you tell big old 95 Richard Dent,
you cover.
You be the defensive back.
you cover. Short of the first down. And they will bring out, well, they're going to measure now and see if indeed it is.
Let's watch it here. We'll see him start here. We'll see the blitz start. Now watch, we're going to see Tate come up the middle. Now we can stop it right here. Here's Dent, who was the pass rusher. Now he's backing up, and he is going to become a defensive back. Big Richard Dent, he's just playing zone back in there. That's he got in on the tackle. Wouldn't it be something if he picked it off and ran it all the way back?
Love to see it.
Well, the Vikings are going to go for it here.
4th down. Walker nudges through. At right guard, he went over Todd Kalis and Kirk Loudermilk, and that is a 1st and goal.
That was Herschel Walker there, because I don't know that he had anything right in the middle. Watch there. Did you see Singletary? He was airborne there. Had he hit him, that wouldn't have been a 1st down. I think maybe Walker sees him coming, but watch Singletary 50 come through the air there. See, had Walker been going a step to the left, that would have been some collision. Well, for most of his career, Walker has been known for diving over the top. I think that's what Mike was counting on, and Walker this time kept his feet on the ground. 1st and goal. And Singletary missed it by a hole. Singletary missed, he jumped one hole away from where Walker went. Time has been called. 7-3. Why they take time out? Well, if you count from right to left, you see that the Bears only had 10 men on defense. They were short over on this side. Richard Dent saw it right here and said, hey, we need a timeout. It's tough enough playing down here. We're playing with one guy short. 1st and goal from the 5. Chicago leads it by 4. Anderson and Walker in the backfield. Walker jammed up at the 3. Jim Morrissey a part of the tackle, number 51. Larry Burns looks like he's hoping that one in there. He gets down. Usually, the lower the coach gets to the grass, the more he's rooting for a play to get in there. When he doesn't care, when he has confidence, he stands up. As he's hoping for something to happen, he shrinks down lower and lower to the ground. This would be a good place for a play pass here, because this Bear defense is really selling out to the run. Double tight ends. Walker to the 2. He's getting lower. For the most part,
Herschel Walker has gone to, well, not for the most part. For the whole part, he's gone right or center.
Well, yeah, they've had most of the success right up the middle, 44 yards. Only 3 times right. They have not run to their left yet all day.
3rd and goal. Play fake. Wilson. 4th down. Steve McMichael.
Now he can stand up. That was great Bear defense, and I'll tell you, these fans know it. This guy knows it because he's a coordinator. But if you're a Chicago Bear fan, you're a fan of defense.
Bridge was part of it. Harry Newsom will hold, and Reveus will try and pull Minnesota to within 1. This from 23 yards out. They got 3. They wanted 7. It's 7-6. Chicago still leads. Tried to win now with a kickoff. Bailey and Morgan wait for it for the Chicago Bears. And that'll be a touchback.
That has to be a strong wind blowing that way. I mean, there's no kicker that kicks that strong off grass consistently.
Either that or he's become Thunderfoot. There's
I know it. He could kick. That's what aids him. Look at those flags. You just get right in behind those flags. Just get that thing up in the air.
They're calling this a light breeze of 12 miles an hour out of the east. It's a little more than that. There's McMichael and Trace Armstrong.
You know why you can never say it's a perfect day for football? It depends on who you are. Big guys like cold days, like those guys. You see the guys close to that air? It's the big, old, strong, heavy guy. You know, and then the little light guys, they like the hot days. So there's no perfect days for everyone.
Harbaugh hands it off on 1st down. James Rouse cuts it up to the 26-yard line. Rouse playing in place of Brad Muster. Muster out with a hamstring injury, might be back next week. Then again, it might linger a little longer than that. That's a gain of 6. Yeah, it's funny. We were out at the practice yesterday, and just as the cool front moved in, erasing what had been a stultifying day, Kevin Butler, we were talking with him about the change in weather.
Yeah, I was telling him, boy, this weather feels great. I really like this. He goes, no, it's windy. He said, you know, those golfers up in Milwaukee, they're having a heck of a time with this wind. He said, it won't be good to kick in. So, it all depends on who you are, what you think is good weather.
2nd down and 4. 7-6 Chicago. Toss to Anderson. Bozo leads the way. Pretty good defense by the Vikings at the 25-yard line. Chris Dolman, number 56, and Stan Thomas fighting each other.
I think that was both by, it was good by both of them because Thomas had him and Dolman springs it out. Watch him. Thomas stretch out there. You got to get that outside hand outside that outside shoulder. That's a little hold there. But stay with the guy. Stay with him. Stay with him. Dolman did a good job by holding and then running right down the line.
Chris Dolman, who signed a new contract that has made him, if not the highest, certainly one of the highest paid defensive linemen in the NFL.
I think he has to be getting a little frustrated here because Harbaugh's throwing more than they thought he would, and Dolman hasn't gotten there yet.
On 3rd down, Harbaugh back again. Flag is down on the far side. There's another flag. So I think we have 2 separate infractions now. If the play stands, it's a 1st down, but chances are not good. Oh, there's one of them. Matter of fact, that may be it. Gain of 11.
You know, one thing I will say that, you know, that Mike Ditka said one of the things they have to do besides being able to run is control Dolman.
We have 81 of the offense lined up in the neutral zone. That penalty will be declined. We have holding.
Who's holding?
Holding 62.
Thank you.
3rd down.
That's Mark Bortz.
62, yeah, that's Mark Bortz right there is who they call for holding. Now again, you know, it's good pass protection on the left side, and they do get their hands up there, and if you can use your hands, you can put them on the other guy, but you can't grab his jersey or get your hands outside the plane of the guy.
That's the first charge penalty today. 3rd down now. Harbaugh back. A lot of pressure. Almost tipped off. Audrey McMillan almost had it. The pass intended for Anthony Morgan. And it'll be 4th down. And Maury Buford will have to punt this into the wind.
That's the thing that a wind can do. One is you get that good kickoff, and that puts them down in the 20. Then if you play good, strong defense, now the other guy has to kick into the wind so you can really pick up 30 or 40 yards of field position.
Leo Lewis waits for it. Nice high punt. This is one of Buford's best. At the 41. Lewis hit from behind, no flag. Here comes a flag. Thrown on the near side of the field. We should have an illegal block above the waist.
And then that can take all the field position and all the wind out of everything. You get everything going your way. You're going to get good field position. You're going to get the ball at midfield. And then, whoop, there comes a penalty.
Tom Dooley with the indication.
We have an illegal block in the back. Number 82 of the receiving team during the run. First down. Timeout.
That's Mike Jones, the backup tight end.
In fact, he really didn't even, he went to hit Cox and he missed him. He threw an air ball at him.
1st and 10, Wade Wilson. Vikings trail by 1. Chris Carter goes in motion left. Wilson goes deep for Hassan Jones into double coverage, and it's incomplete. One other game going on the West Coast. Let's go back to Greg Gumbel in New York.
Well, Verne, out in Anaheim, the Rams have pulled within a touchdown of the Phoenix Cardinals. Robert Del Pino, a 1-yard touchdown run, his second of the day. It's 21-14 Phoenix. Meanwhile, in Buffalo, the Dolphins are leading the Bills by 3. Jim Kelly has aggravated a left ankle injury. He will not play anymore today. Let's go back to Verne.
All right, Greg, and of course John and I saw him injure that left ankle in Madison, Wisconsin a couple of weeks ago when he was tackled by Tony Bennett. 2nd down and 10. Here's Wilson, slant pattern, Hassan Jones. Kelly is out. He's not the only one who was sidelined today. The biggest news, I guess, is Randall Cunningham, perhaps out for the season. Dave Craig broke a thumb in the Seattle game. And Jim Kelly with an ankle injury. 3rd and 2. 45-yard line, 2:52 to go, quarter number 3. Walker, short drop. Chris Carter down the sidelines and out of bounds. He got away from Ron Rivera among those who was pursuing him. That's a gain of 17.
See, that's what this offense can do. This 3-wide receiver, you have no huddle. If they want to keep their regular defense in, and you have a 3-wide receivers and your tight end, that's 4 guys, you can end up with a strong safety on a wide receiver and a linebacker on a wide receiver or a tight end. That time, Ron Rivera ended up on Chris Carter.
7-6, excuse me, John.
No, I was just going to say, in fact, he's lined up on him again.
And that's the mismatch you hope to get out of this. Here's Wilson back on 1st down. Into the middle, picked off. Intercepted by Marcus Paul. Chicago football at the Bear 25.
This is the first turnover of the game. You see what? This is good coverage. He looked to the left, couldn't find anything. Looked to the right, couldn't find anything. Came back to the middle, tried to find Steve Jordan down that seam, but he threw it down that seam too late. If you're going to hit that seam pass, you can't wait that long.
Marcus Paul, who is playing in a spot normally occupied by Sean Gale. And he gets the first interception of the season for the Chicago Bears. From the 25, Harbaugh, play fake. A lot of time. Goes deep for Anderson.
That was a heck of a throw by Harbaugh, but Anderson just had to wait there. He knew if he went too much farther, too much faster, he would run into a big zone because This is thrown right between 4 defenders. Look at the 4 defenders there. He just had to wait and come under control there. It was a heck of a play by Neil Anderson. That was a pretty good throw into a zone of 4 guys.
Certainly was. First and 10. Anderson, whoops. Oh, that was Rouse. It was Rouse, and it looked ugly from the start.
He didn't have any place to bounce. He was trying to bounce inside, then outside, and there was no bouncing at all. Big Hilge there, the center.
Tom Thayer's got his dark blue socks on again today.
You know, he and Hilgenberg both have motorcycles, and they nicknamed him, the 2 of them, Born to be Wide. So Trace Armstrong said he was riding behind him one day and looking at those guys on motorcycles, and their new nickname was Born to be Wide.
Thayer saying he's wearing Matt Suey's socks, the longtime running back of the Bears. Van Horn and Al Noga having a little tete-a-tete back in the office. There they go.
Hey, one thing, this offensive line of the Bears is really doing a good job, not only run blocking, but pass protection, because Harbaugh has had time.
57 offense, second down.
It was the socks. It'll throw you off every time.
Yeah, the minute you start talking about a guy being wide or a wide body or socks or an old-time player, he jumps offside. But you see what happened. It was Henry Thomas, number 97, jumped and then came under control. What Thayer's saying, he came into the neutral zone first.
Nevertheless,
I like that shot of Thayer there. There was some sweat just hanging down the end of his nose. That's a good guard. Playing in there in the pits with sweat coming out of your nose.
goes with the socks. Pass is complete near midfield. Gain of 8.
Yeah, if you look at the pressure on Harbaugh, he's really had no sacks all day. He's been hurried 3 times. He's been knocked down twice after he threw it. But that's not bad, because he's completed 15 out of 19.
That's a nice start to the season, and that's also the end of the 3rd quarter with our score 7-6. Our coverage will continue after this message from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. And here's what the first play of the 4th quarter will sound like in Japanese.
さあ、第4クォーターが始まります。
ドロップバックしてですね、プレッシャーはそんなにプレッシャーはなかったんですけどね、ですけどいいディフェンスでしたよね。
はい。今私と後藤さんの名前がね伝え出ましたが、これは日本のスタッフです。
これ昨日撮った時の編集をしてる指示してるディレクターたちなんですけどね。はい。我々のことは、
こちらのテレビでも映されているということですね。名前がちゃんと出てきました。
ですけどここでまたパントに終わってしまったんでですね、ちょっと物足りなかったですね結局ね。第4クォーターの勝負持ち越しっていうことになりますけど。なるほど。はい、タッチバックですね。
That means that was almost a heck of a punt. We'll be right back.
They don't have to huddle up. They just come up there, line up, and they already have it called, so all they have to do is run it.
They have lined Herschel Walker up at the bottom of your screen. Now Walker starts in motion. There's the handoff to Walker. He's going to be cut down for a loss. Marcus Paul.
I'll bet you that play doesn't gain a yard all year for him. I mean, everyone's looking for him. They see Herschel come in motion. They're going to start yelling, sweep, 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 and the whole thing just pursues and goes and tackles him. The only thing I can see if they ever want to do that is maybe fake that and do something else, because that one isn't one of the good ones in the book.
Back in the book. Keep it there. 2nd down and 10. Play called now by Wade Wilson after the bunch huddle, or the choir huddle they call it. Here's Wilson back. Right side, caught. Darren Nelson stays inbounds and spins for an additional 3 yards. That's a gain of 9.
Yeah, I would think 7-6. They got a tight game. I would think here somewhere I would try and figure out a way, especially in the 4th quarter now, Not on this down, it's a 3rd and short. But I'd figure out a way to get the ball to Anthony Carter because he's your one or your best or biggest game breaker.
3rd and 1 coming now. Carter is out. Wilson brings them up. He's got Novoselsky and Jordan both tight to the left. Greg Wolfley is also in. And here is Herschel Walker. Oh boy, if he had broken one more tackle. It was lights out. He gained 16.
That is Herschel at its best. When Herschel, he lines right up behind the quarterback, and he has a lead block, and he just follows right in there behind him. In fact, that lead blocker was Randall McDaniel. They take their left guard and put him in the backfield with Herschel. Watch him here. Watch him, number 64, right there. See, that's a guard blocking, and he's the guy that made that hole. Stinson doesn't make this tackle. Like you said, it's a touchdown.
Well, it was McDaniel's block on Singletary that opened the way. 1st down, Wilson back. Steps up and goes deep, and that one's going to be overthrown. Zone coverage, and many more blue-shirted Bears than there were white-shirted Vikings. Phoenix still leading Los Angeles 21-14. And Buffalo leading now 21-17. We are told that Kelly is back in the game. And he threw a 50-yard touchdown pass to Thurman Thomas. 2:10 left in the 3rd quarter.
I guess he's really back in the game.
I guess so. Earlier reports of his demise were greatly exaggerated, a la Twain. On 2nd down, Walker gains a couple. Pittsburgh leading San Diego 4th quarter.
You know, Randall McDaniel, you see 64 there. He's trying to pick up the fridge with one arm. You know that's not going to happen. But he's one of the best athletes on this Viking team. The Vikings are going with no huddle now whatsoever.
3rd down, Wilson back. Dent after him. Intercepted. Picked off by Donnell Wolford.
Oh, Mark Carrier shouldn't do that. He took a swing. That could be a 15-yard penalty. Luckily, the official didn't see it. But Richard Dent has a big play in him every game. That was it. You know there's a part of the game where number 95 is going to do something that is going to change or win the game for you. Here it is right here. He made Wilson throw that ball when he didn't want to, and he hit his arm just as he threw it. Part of that interception has to go to Dent.
And it was Herschel Walker who missed the block on Richard Dent. Donnell Wolford came up with the 2nd interception of the 2nd half. 1st and 10, Chicago. Harbaugh, short setup. He can do this as well as anybody. Picks up about 6.
I think that's the first time that he's done it today.
Right.
You see, one thing, you know, we've talked about Stan Thomas, who is doing a good job over there in Goldman, but a lot of time the Bears are giving him help. That time it was Rouse, the fullback, who stayed in and helped Thomas, and they've had the tight end on that side, and they've done things to help him, but this guy has really played an outstanding game in his first game as a rookie.
2nd down and 5. Chicago clinging to a 1-point edge, 7-6. They have been helped immeasurably with 2 turnovers in this half. Cap Bozo starts in motion. The toss goes to Anderson. He's got Rouse in front. 1st down, Bears. Ray Berry makes the tackle. Anderson, who missed much of preseason with a family tragedy and as well as injuries, and looks sharp in this first game of 1991.
Well, he's the guy, like we said, who says in the offseason he just wants to rest, although, you know, he's an active guy. I mean, he plays tennis and he plays golf and he plays basketball and he does all those things, but he just doesn't run and lift weights and run sprints and do those types of things. And I think that when you talk about a natural athlete, that's what Neil Anderson is. Everything he does is just natural.
54 yards on 19 carries in the ballgame. Play fake this time to Anderson. Now they throw it to him. Something about that play didn't look right, except the result.
That was, I guess you get credit for a pass, but he came close to almost handing it to him.
Didn't like it.
Yeah, well, he likes it because he's the guy who hit Wilson, who caused the interception that got the Bears to have the ball there that makes this all possible. But that was probably the shortest pass in the history of the game. I think the length of that pass could have been like a foot.
6 catches to go with his yards on the ground, and those 6 for 46 yards. First and 10, 9:50 to go in the ball game. Anderson for 1 or 2. That's about it. Make it 2.
There's Joey Browner. You know, he's like another linebacker. I mean, he's a big, strong guy. He does those martial arts. He has 2 black belts, and he says that he learns a lot about tackling from those martial arts, that the jiu-jitsu and that stuff that he takes. He said he gets thrown 3,000 times a week, and then so when he comes to the game, it's easy.
There is an injured Viking, and we'll check the identity. Time has been called at the 20-yard line. It's Mark Duspavic, the injured player, from the Viking locker room. As Mark Duspavic is helped to the locker room, it's a 2nd down and 8. 7-6, Chicago leads it. Harbaugh has had a stellar day, 16 of 21. And he wants to throw it again. Batted down this time by Mike Merriweather, who is coming on a blitz, number 57.
And that's a tough one when you're trying to throw that play pass. He was trying to get it to Rouse's fullback, James Rouse, out there, and Merriweather was coming, so he had him right in his face as a guy you're trying to throw it in the flat to.
Clock is stopped with 9:06 to go. Now Minnesota does some adjusting defensively. Noga comes back in. Gentry out of the backfield in motion wide left. Hand off to Anderson, chased by Goldman. And it'll be 4th down after no gain. And Perry comes in to help block on the field goal.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting thing, because if there's anything the Bears have had problems with all day, it's the hold. Mike Ditka was talking before the game, and he said that they lost Mike Tomczak, and he said probably the biggest loss at Tomczak will be as a holder.
Matter of fact, Tom Thayer, who had centered on the first 2, is out of there. And is that the Fridge centering? No. Here's Butler's kick. No good. There is a flag down, and Butler is down.
Hey, this has not been a good day for the extra point and field goal part of the thing. He is really hurt. Look, there's a flag underneath him, too.
Well, personal foul, roughing the kicker.
See right there, after he kicks it, you can't hit him. Look at him, he grabs his right ankle just as he's been hit.
Audrey McMillan is guilty of the personal foul, and Kevin Butler in agony on the field.
You see McMillan, you see he just comes right from that outside. He's diving there. Part of it is that Butler is following through, and McMillan is going for a point where the ball was. I mean, I in no way would say that's intentional.
Roughing the kicker is the call, and it would be a 1st down for the Chicago Bears, but of more immediate concern
is that your kicker's down. Exactly. And you better get the ball in the end zone, because if you come up with another field goal situation, who is going to kick it? Their backup kicker, the guy who's been the backup before, has always been Steve McMichael. In the past, he's done some kicking off for him. I don't, you know, he would be a straight ahead guy. I don't even know if he brought his shoe or still brings his shoe with him. And if he does bring it with him, I'm sure that's what he's looking for now. The last time he looked for it was probably in 1985. There it is right there. They found his shoe. Someone always has to go. It's the old square-toed shoe. That's why you don't see too many guys kicking from the straight-ahead thing. They don't have that kind of shoe.
Now, isn't that amazing? And we're not to divert our attention from Kevin Butler as he is helped off. But it's one of those little things, John, it just struck me as you were talking about. The equipment manager making sure that Steve McMichael's kicking shoe is on the bench for the opening day. And who knows the last time he used it. Well, Butler.
And it is there, and you have to take all that tape off to do it. So Butler, we saw him walking off, and he really looks like he's still in pain. And Steve McMichael is going to put that toe on, but then I wonder if he'll play defense with the toe on.
Well, while the equipment work and the medical work goes on, the Bears go back on offense for the first down.
Yeah, I think it's a good sign that Butler walked off the field on his own, but it's still tough when a kicker hurts his kicking foot. That is a serious thing.
Toss. Gentry. And he scoots down to the 6-yard line. Ken Clark with the tackle, a gain of 6.
I'll tell you, linemen love this too. McMichael hasn't had that much attention since he scored a touchdown somewhere in junior high school. Look, everyone's going, okay, can you kick? You got your shoe, is that right? Can you get the other shoe on? You get the tape off? You got the shoe? Can you get, who's going to hold? Who's going to snap? Who's my snapper? Who's my holder? When do I kick? Do I put both hands out when I kick?
See, he's going to walk now. He's going to pace and get ready.
He's telling everyone, yeah, I'm okay, I'm okay. Wife's in the stands, nervous.
Second down. Rouse for 1.
There's probably no one on this play that's rooting for a first down more than Steve McMichael, or it could be, you see, this is an interesting situation, Verne. They're 3rd and 2. Now, if you're Mike Ditka, you could say, I don't have my kicker. I really don't trust that toe too much. So I'm going to take 2 plays to get a first down here. So you decide now if you're going to go for it on 4th down. Then you can run. I think if you don't, I think you go for the pass if you're going to go for the field goal on the next down.
Kevin Butler walking with a little more strength now. 3rd down. And now Ditka's got to make the decision because there is no first down in the play. And is Butler going to? Yes, Kevin Butler is going to limp back on.
Yeah, you see what I would have done in that situation. Like I said, if you're going to kick it on 4th, you should have thrown on 3rd down. If you're going to go for it on 4th, then you can run on 3rd.
Well, Buford will hold, and Butler will kick from 22 yards. And it's Jay Hilgenberg who is now centering on the field goal.
And this has not been an automatic situation all day.
Maury Buford has had problems with the hold. That's a job Mike Tomczak had a year ago. Everything good about that kick, including the end result. Good center, good hold, good kick, as Ben Agajanian might say. Kevin Butler will kick off.
Look at that. His nickname is Butthead, and he has it written on the back of his helmet. I can't believe that. He does have to remember who he is. That's the best kickoff I've seen him do in years.
That is amazing. Of course, he does have that wind helping. But he's got to really be pleased.
Oh, yeah, no, he loves this. He feels like a tough guy now. You know, I mean, he feels like the linebackers and the guys do. You know, when they get to limp, he'll get in a whirlpool tomorrow and all that stuff with all the other guys. But how can you wear that on the back of your helmet, Butthead? Maybe that makes you kick good. I don't know.
I hope that's not what it takes. First down and 10. Who named him that? Had to be McMahon. Herschel Walker spins to the outside and gets to the 27. Gain of 3. 10-6, 5.5 remaining in the ball game.
I still think, you know, I mean, I go back to that thing that the Vikings have this new offense. They got the 3 wide receivers, but they really don't get the ball to them enough to open up things. And I don't mean to be a broken record, but somewhere you think you have to find a way to get the ball to Anthony Carter.
2nd and 7. Chris Carter in motion. Into the flat to Herschel Walker. Well, he had Chris Carter out there, the one guy in the white jersey, but 3 men in dark blue. Gain of 4. 5 minutes remaining in the ball game. Opening day from Soldier Field in Chicago. The Minnesota Vikings 5th in the division last year against the defending champion Chicago Bears. Minnesota opened the scoring with a field goal. Chicago took a 7-3 halftime lead on Tom Waddle's catch from Jim Harbaugh. Both teams with field goals now. It's 10-6 and 3rd down and 3. Wilson, man open, first down at the 43. It is Chris Carter who makes the grab, a gain of 12.
And I'll tell you, that was a pass protection one there, because that offensive line really gave Wade Wilson the time, because he had to go to his 2nd and 3rd receiver. Watch him here. Watch the protection here. Boom, they control that line of scrimmage. Look at Wade Wilson standing. He looks to his right, back to his left, back to his right, and finally throws it. When a guy has that much time to throw, you have to give credit to the offensive line.
1st and 10, 4:05 to go. And off to Herschel Walker. Out near the 48-yard line. Gain of 6. It'll be 2nd down and 4. Walker with a busy afternoon. Emmitt Smith had 112 yards for Dallas. Herschel Walker with 72 yards on 17 carries here. 2nd down and 5, 3.5 to go. Vikings have to have a touchdown to get the lead. Blitz coming from Singletary. The pass is caught at the Chicago 40 in front of Donnell Wolford. It's Hassan Jones.
That's the thing. I think that Minnesota, you know, with this thing is probably going to go back and pass more. And if they're going to be successful, I think that's the way to have a one-back offense, or the way to open up the run. Spread it out, then throw the ball, then come back with the run.
2:59 to go. 10-6. Bears lead. Walker at the 35-yard line. A gain of 5 more. Walker a little slow getting up. Here's the way it has been passed around today.
Well, you can see that they've attempted 20 footballs to the wide receivers, which is plenty. Only 2 to the running backs. They're not a big running back throwing team. 8 to the tight ends, but I still say, and probably everyone says this, that they should get it more to Anthony Carter, because he is dangerous.
He is wide to the left with Lemuel Stinson on him. Incomplete for Jordan, with Singletary covering. 3rd and 5.
I think he had McMichael and Armstrong were right on him, and they made him throw that ball when he didn't want to. That's the pressure. That's what they have to do, and that's what the Bears defense is going to have to do on this down. They got to get some pressure. The last 3rd down, they didn't get any pressure.
.2:14 to go. 10-6. Chicago leads. Wilson with a man open, first down. Steve Jordan again.
And again, great pass protection to give Wilson the time.
We have reached the 2-minute warning. Minnesota with new life, a 1st and 10, but they trail by 4. Of the opening day, Jerry Burns and the Vikings trail by 4. A 1st down at the 22-yard line, and they do have all 3 timeouts left.
I think right now, if you're a Bear fan, you say, hey, where's the pass rush gone? We need a pass rush. If you're a Viking fan, you have to say, we need pass protection. We're not going to be able to get it down there and run it in. We have to pass the ball, and we have to protect and get guys open.
Wilson with Walker behind him, 2 receivers left and 1 to the right. They give it to Walker, and he surges up the middle to the 15. And still rushing forward. There was a big pile, but no whistle.
Herschel Walker won that battle. I mean, he hit in there, and then the pile went forward. You know, when a back hits in there, the pile can go 2 ways. 1, it can come back where it came from, or 2, it can go the direction he's going. Watch this pile go the direction that Herschel's going. That looks like a scrum or a rugby deal, the way a whole bunch of guys in there grabbing at stuff. Maybe some foreign objects in that pile.
Time has been called. Coming up to round up with the 5th place schedule. After today, they do not face a team on the road with a better than 500 mark from a year ago. So this is by far their toughest road test, on paper at least, of 1991. 2nd down, they trail by 4. Walker again, Richard Dent again.
I think this is a big thing because here they may get a 1st down, but I still think they're going to have to throw it in. This has really been a great game. I mean the intensity that this thing has been played with, it's kind of what you expected.
3rd and 1 from the 13.
Vikings can go twice here if they don't get it.
They'll throw on 3rd. Batted in the air and intercepted. John Roper with the tip. Marcus Paul with the pick. And McMichael in the middle of it.
That's the 2nd interception for Paul. That's what the Bears needed. The Bears needed a big play. Right there, McMichael. See him come up there? See him come in a stunt, comes around, boom, get up in the air. He tips the ball. Now here comes Paul. He gets that 2nd interception, but the guy you have to give that to is Steve McMichael.
It's all in the shoes.
He was all ready to win it as a kicker, and he wins it as a defensive tackle, lo and behold.
He didn't have those give-up shoes on.
No.
Left side after the 3rd interception of this half. And 1:07 remaining in the ball game. 42nd timeout called by the Vikings. This game is presented by authority of the National Football League, and this CBS telecast is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of CBS, the Chicago Bears, and the National Football League is prohibited.
It's congratulating Marcus Paul there, Sean Gale, who is the injured, irregular strong safety. You see that? He had that shirt on that said team, and that's been the big thing for the Chicago Bears is we have to do it by being a team. You know, the last 3 times the Vikings had the ball, it ended up in an interception.
And 2 of them from Marcus Paul, 1 from Donnell Wolford.
And you know, the Bears usually lead the league, or on top of the league, in that turnover thing.
2nd down, 11 with 1:07 to go. Anderson with the carry. He's down at the 12, or 17 rather. And that's another timeout, the final timeout now by Minnesota.
There's a guy who's been through a roller coaster today, Mike Ditka. A lot of it's been caused by the kicking game. I mean, yeah, as a coach, turnovers really make that gut spin. And the other thing is the kicking game. When that's not right, that'll drive you absolutely nuts. So Jerry Burns got it from the turnovers. Mike Ditka got it from the kicking game.
3rd and 8. Vikings are out of timeouts. Harbaugh flips it out incomplete. There is no flag. And the crowd here gasps in relief.
Well, they could be gasping and saying, what in the heck was he doing passing? Because incomplete pass stops the clock. So now they have 50 seconds. So that stopped the clock. Now change of possession is going to stop the clock. I think that's what they're gasping. They're saying, what the heck's he doing? You know, we're not a passing team. Why should we be passing now? We're trying to run the clock out.
That's what Eric Coryell will get you, huh?
Holy moly.
So with the clock stopped.
Where did that one come from?
I don't know. Greg Landry and Ditka are both denying they sent in the play. Here's the punt by Buford. Leo Lewis. Good downfield pursuit. And it's Glenn Kozlowski. 42-yard punt, nothing on the return.
You know, and even though the Vikings only have 49 seconds, they have pretty good field position, and they're going to get in some plays. They're going to get some shots at some passes here.
Last 3 times they have had the ball, they've wound up losing it by virtue of interception.
I wonder if Harbaugh audibilized to a pass down there. I still can't believe they did that.
Wilson, hook and ladder. That is a completed pass, and Walker does get out of bounds at the 46-yard line. So the pass complete, and the lateral back to Herschel Walker. Clock stopped with 40 seconds to go.
Yeah, because if they can, if you know, Jerry Burns has to be thinking now, get one more first down and get out of bounds, and then take a couple shots at the end zone. And then you get one last shot at the end. There's Greg Landry talking to Harbaugh about that 3rd down when you're running out the clock. I don't know.
3 wide receivers wide to the right. Wilson chased out by John Roper. Here's Walker trying to get out of bounds. Does not.
That's a big tackle, because you have to remember the Vikings have no timeouts.
3rd and 4. Now they've got to go on 4th down with 19 seconds to go.
Well, of course, this is going to be the one where they're just going to put a bunch of guys over on one side and throw the ball deep and hope for a reception or a penalty. Because the thing you have to remember here is the game cannot end on a defensive penalty.
Last year, when these 2 teams met here, the Bears won by 3. This afternoon, they lead by 4. Wilson, deep left side for Chris Carter. Incomplete. Lemuel Stinson defending. And McMichael is down back at the 38-yard line. Now, is he injured? Yep, just tired.
I think there's just a lot of fatigue. Armstrong is still down there on one knee. McMichael is down there on one knee. I think they wanted to just get a breath of air before they come over to the sideline to celebrate what is their 8th straight opening day win. I mean, there's something that Mike Ditka and his program does, and they do the right way, because he gets his team ready for opening day. Because McMichael had a big play in it. I think if I had to give out a game ball or bunting, you know, like opening day bunting,
right,
I'd give it to Stan Thomas, the rookie tackle.
Would you?
I thought he had an amazing day against Chris Dolman. The Bears needed this guy today, and they got him.
So the Bears open 1-0 there at Tampa next week. Coming up on the NFL Today postgame show, Greg and Terry will get you updated on all the scores, highlights, and latest information. Once again, the final score here at Soldier Field, the Chicago Bears 10, the Minnesota Vikings 6. You've been watching CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League.